An area school district chooses to recommend students wear masks but not mandate masks. We'll hear why. The Joplin Public Library is now letting people borrow Wi-Fi hotspots.
New York Governor Andrew Cuomo has resigned amid sexual harassment allegations. I'm Elise Preston with Cuomo's announcement and what's next for the state of New York.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Several area schools choose to recommend mask wearing instead of mandating masks. This is KOAM News at 5. As we get closer to the start of the school year, area districts are finishing their back-to-school plans. One of them is the Carl Junction School District. They've decided to not mandate mask wearing. Now, the CDC has recommended that people wear masks indoors regardless of vaccination status. The U.S. Department of Education has a similar stance. The Missouri Department of Ed acknowledges the CDC's position but leaves the final decision to local districts.
We have multiple layers within our safety procedures. We're not relying just upon one thing, but multiple strategies. We're absolutely confident in our ability to consider the situation and to make decisions that we feel like are in the best interest for our staff and our students.
According to the plans they've published, Webb City and Joplin also plan to recommend masks, but that could change as more meetings take place ahead of the first day of school. We're going to hear from the Jasper County Health Department tonight at 6. Many schools began classes in Florida today at a time when COVID cases are surging among kids. But in Florida, the governor has signed an order banning mask mandates, while at least 6 other states have similar bans. Nationwide, nearly 94,000 cases were reported in kids between July 29th and August 5th. Wholesale company Cisco has been dealing with supply and delivery problems. Cisco distributes food products and equipment, including for some area businesses. Cisco put out a statement on the issue saying, in part, "We have had to delay or pause service for a limited number of customers in various locations, including those in Joplin. This is mainly due to unprecedented labor shortages in the industry." Cisco went on to say they expect it to be a temporary situation. The Joplin Public Library is making it easier for anyone in the community to access the internet. Now, last year, the library acquired 100 mobile hotspots through the CARES Act. They say that when the library was closed last year, they saw a need to give more people in the community digital access. The library says they've noticed families are usually the ones using this program.
So what we see typically is a family will check that out. And again, you can connect with 15 devices. So it really allows a family to utilize it for schoolwork, for entertainment, to connect with their family through the internet.
Joplin Public Library members can check out a hotspot by going to the library or place a hold online. Checking in with Nick Kelly now for a first look at the weather.
Good afternoon, Dal. I wish it was a good afternoon to be out and about, but even though it looks nice from 7th and Range Line, the heat and humidity, the persistent heat and humidity continues to be the main weather headline. That's why we have an alert day out for today and even tomorrow, since at the very least we'll have heat advisories taking us actually through Thursday at 8 o'clock in the evening at the very latest. Nothing in terms of rain or thunderstorms on the radar in our immediate area. I am watching a storm in Lyon County, mainly tracking very slowly east-northeast, but I want to keep an eye on this little batch of showers and storms. I could try to clip our very, very far northern counties, but any good chances for severe weather is going to stay close to Lake Michigan for this evening. Everyone's in the mid-90s for the most part at the top of the 5 o'clock hour. These numbers, it feels a bit hotter though, in the mid-100s though, Dow, and we'll have to repeat these numbers for a few more days before a little relief comes our way. We'll break down the forecast here in a bit.
See you then. The Senate today delivered a legislative victory to President Biden, passing his $1 trillion infrastructure plan with bipartisan support. The measure includes $550 billion in spending for things like roads, bridges, broadband, water systems, trains. But the next spending package Democrats are planning does not have the same broad appeal. The $3.5 trillion budget resolution would be the biggest expansion of America's social safety net in decades, and it faces stiff opposition from Republicans. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is resigning a week after an investigation by the state attorney general found he sexually harassed 11 women. Elise Preston reports from New York.
In my mind, I've never crossed the line with anyone.
After weeks of fighting, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo says he will leave office in the interest of the people he represents.
I think that given the circumstances, the best way I can help now is if I step aside and let government get back to governing.
His announcement comes a week after an independent investigation found the three-term Democratic governor sexually harassed multiple women.
There is a difference between alleged improper conduct and concluding sexual harassment. Now, don't get me wrong. This is not to say that there are not 11 women who I truly offended. There are. And for that, I deeply, deeply apologize.
Brittany Commisso, identified as Executive Assistant Number 1 in the Attorney General's report, spoke exclusively with the Albany Times Union and CBS this morning.
He walked over, shut the door so hard, came back to me, and that's when he put his hand up my blouse and cupped my breast over my bra.
The report also detailed a complaint of inappropriate touching from a state trooper picked for the governor's security detail.
I didn't do it consciously with the female trooper. I did not mean any sexual connotation. I did not mean any intimacy by it. I just wasn't thinking.
New York Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul released a statement saying Cuomo's resignation was the right thing to do. She takes over as the state's first female governor in 2 weeks. Elise Preston, CBS News, New York.
Cuomo still faces an impeachment inquiry and a criminal complaint. More than 40 Democratic chairs signed a letter asking Cuomo to resign. President Biden had advised him to do the same. One of Jeffrey Epstein's longtime accusers is now suing Britain's Prince Andrew. Virginia's Giuffre's lawyers filed the complaint in New York City, claiming she was trafficked to Andrew and abused by him when she was 17 years old. Giuffre said in a statement, quote, "I'm holding Prince Andrew accountable for what he did to me. The powerful and rich are not exempt from being held responsible for their actions," end quote. When CBS News reached out to Prince Andrew's legal team, they said they had no comment. Still ahead, some stores are having trouble stocking school supplies.
Parents are expected to spend a record amount in back-to-school items. I'm Anthony Pura with why shoppers are seeing higher prices and sporadic shortages.
And next in Health Watch, some warning signs of heart failure. Topping today's Health Watch, children and adolescents are experiencing a mental health crisis across the globe during the pandemic. Canadian researchers looked at data from nearly 30 studies involving more than 80,000 children and adolescents and found depression and anxiety symptoms have doubled compared to before the pandemic. Women remain underrepresented in cardiovascular clinical trials, according to a new American College of Cardiology report. The lack of women in studies continues despite requirements to ensure more inclusion. The authors of the report say not including women in research limits the data available on treatment for women with cardiovascular disease. Heart failure affects 6.2 million adults in the United States, but many don't even know they have it. In fact, they think it could be something else because they're overlooking symptoms. Stan DeFrita's story is speckled with sunshine. For decades, he's been known as Mr. Green Thumb, a nationally known gardener with radio and TV shows.
Just about everybody loves the idea of having
plants. I know, horticulture I know, a little bit of radio and television I think I know, but when it came to signs of a heart problem, I didn't know.
What a shock when he ended up with heart failure, on the waiting list to get a heart transplant. And yes, he was still gabbing about gardening from his hospital bed.
Without plant material, we wouldn't be here.
Same goes for a heart, but like many, he ignored what could have been deadly signs.
No matter what, all the different insults to the heart muscle is all leads to the heart failure.
Insults like alcohol, high blood pressure, unaddressed thyroid issues, and smoking. But the symptoms are many times mistaken for something else.
Some patients will have a cough, so they think they have bronchitis.
The doctor also says abdominal distension, not being able to bend down and tie shoes, and lightheadedness can also be mistaken for something else when in fact it's heart failure.
The moment you're not getting better, the next step is to make sure that your heart is okay.
I was like, a river in Egypt. I was in denial.
For Mr. Green Thumb, well, he had to get a new heart, but now he's hoping to plant seeds for others so their story doesn't get cut short like his almost did.
But there's a difference between...
Dr. Kumar says mechanical hearts are also used for patients with heart failure, but he says it all depends on the patient's situation. He says when patients are treated for heart failure, 90% of the time they're treated with medication and there is a dramatic response. Researchers say the findings of a new study on vaping are concerning. The new UCLA study shows vaping even once increases oxidative stress levels in non-smokers. Over time, oxidative stress can lead to cell and tissue damage and play a role in developing cardiovascular, pulmonary, and neurological diseases, as well as cancer. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, what a new survey shows about small business owners' optimism for the economy.
But first, a few more very hot and humid days, but a little relief in sight. Forecast up next. Even though we are pretty sick and tired of the summer heat and humidity, we got to put up with it for a few more days before a little relief comes our way, thanks to a storm system that will be working through. Not until we get this weekend going, though. But as far as temperatures go, it's been an upward trend, unfortunately. We hit at least 93 yesterday, upper 70s to near 80, so it was muggy and warm this morning and no better this afternoon, topping out at least at 96 so far. And I don't see this heat or humidity getting out of here within the next 2 days. So that is why for much of in fact, the entire area, at the very latest until Thursday at 8 o'clock in the evening, that's when these heat advisories will hopefully start to drop off. But in the meantime, all we can do is hope that the heat and humidity that we get during the day can result in at least some isolated showers or storms. We had one complex of storms just barely clip our far northern counties this morning, but throughout the course of the afternoon, I've been keeping an eye on this struggling area of showers and storms. But if we go for a closer look at the radar, not anything in our immediate area right now. That being said, though, I am keeping an eye on a potent storm in Lyon County. That's a severe thunderstorm warning until 5:45. You can see this is a very electric storm, packing a punch with golf ball size hail just about, and 70-mile-per-hour winds, and we'll see how far east it will go before it starts to putter on out as we go deeper into the evening. But this is how the entire area looks like. Partly to mostly sunny skies. We look nice from 7th and Range Line, but it does not feel good at all. 96 in Joplin feels like 105 thanks to dew points in the lower 70s, and both numbers staying up because of a southwest breeze, occasionally gusting to 28 miles per hour. Most of us are in the mid 90s now. Feels like it's anywhere between 101 and 111. And we'll try our best to drop temperatures down. Again, for the next few hours, though, I'll just keep an eye on those storms north and west of the region. But most of us are dry overnight, but we'll only drop back into the upper 70s for another warm and muggy start. So while our rain chances are fairly slim this evening, they really ramp up once you go into areas west of Lake Michigan with a stalled out front to the north. Our next cold front, though, that's the one that'll start to head our way by Friday. Well, that won't happen, though, until we can get these areas of upper level highs to buckle down. And until it does, that keeps us hot, that keeps us humid, with maybe an odd thunderstorm or two each afternoon going forward over the next 2 days. You can see how most of us stay quiet this evening, but we only drop back into the upper 70s, already back near 90, if not 91, for tomorrow to start the afternoon. And we'll just stay hot and humid again. 78 in the morning, 91 by noon, afternoon highs around 96. Let's fast forward to Thursday morning. I think any storms to the north will stay to the north as we get the day started, but can't rule out a few isolated storms, but still hot with highs in the mid-90s. Don't forget about the humidity. This is why these heat advisories remain in place. It'll feel like 102 to about 110 for Wednesday and Thursday afternoon. Then we head toward Friday and Saturday. A change in the jet stream will bring in the front and at least scattered thunderstorm chances late Friday afternoon through Saturday morning. Behind it now, not a big drop in temperatures, but we'll go from the mid-90s tomorrow and Thursday, 91 on Friday, to at the very least upper 80s for the rest of the weekend and into early next week.
Any drop in temperatures and any drop of rain would be welcome. Right?
And a drop in the humidity, too.
You bet. Thanks. Coming up, why some retailers are experiencing a shortage of school supplies. First, though, we recognize a local World War II veteran. Joplin native Edward Broglio served in the U.S. Army from 1943 to 46 and helped with defenses against chemical warfare. We salute Corporal Edward Broglio, a four-state hero. Topping Consumer Watch today, small businesses are feeling less optimistic about the economic recovery. According to the National Federation of Independent Business, the mood of small business owners slipped in July. Nearly half of owners surveyed say they couldn't fill jobs, and fewer expect business conditions to improve over the next 6 months. The second payment for the new child tax credit will hit bank accounts this week. Parents of about 60 million children in the U.S. are expected to receive the payment on Friday. It's part of President Biden's American Rescue Plan. The enhanced payments will continue through December. Schools are opening their doors, and that has parents back to school shopping, but some may be surprised by what they find and don't find. Anthony Pura reports.
Kids are heading to the classroom, many for the first time since the pandemic started.
You excited to have your kids go back to school?
I know I am. I don't think they are.
I am.
You're excited to go back to school to see your friends?
But some parents shopping for supplies are finding slim pickings.
We just started and I see that everything's empty.
Pandemic-related supply chain issues impacting hundreds of consumer goods are also leading to sporadic shortages of school-related items.
They're missing pencils, folders, everything is not here.
In places where shelves are stocked, shoppers are finding slightly higher prices because of inflation.
That doesn't seem like a big deal when you look at it on an item by item basis, but when you get to checkout and you're shopping for multiple kids and paying for everything in your cart, parents are really going to feel that.
Kristen McGrath with Retail Me Not says the most money is being spent on clothes and shoes, followed by electronics.
Schools release specific school supplies that every kid in the area is going to be needing. So if you haven't completed your shopping or you haven't even started, now is the time.
The National Retail Federation predicts back-to-school shopping will hit a record $37 billion this year, with the average family spending nearly $849. But it might not be so expensive for Carolyn Mushmel Tawil because her kids only did remote learning last year.
We have so many supplies from last year that we barely got to use. So we're probably going to be able to use most of those.
Parents are split on where to shop. Retail Me Not says 52% are buying in-store. The other 48% are making purchases online. Anthony Pura, CBS News, Los Angeles.
The National Retail Federation says college students and their families plan to spend $1,200 on average. American Airlines is trying the carrot approach instead of the stick when it comes to employee vaccination. American is not requiring workers to get vaccinated. Instead, it's offering employees who get a COVID-19 shot an extra day off next year and $50 through its employee recognition program. Final check of the forecast next. The CBS Evening News is next. Then on KOAM News at 6, we're going to hear more about an area school district's decision to recommend students wear masks, but not mandate them. Plus, a Missouri judge rules against Governor Parson, saying he can't deny Medicaid to newly eligible Missourians under the expansion. And a look at some of the changes the Joplin Public Library is making when the school year starts. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. The sweltering heat and humidity still with us. It's going to be with us a bit longer.
Yeah, for a few more days at least, but it doesn't help, Dal, that we'll stay very warm and muggy as we go deep into the overnight. Only upper 70s for overnight lows, and we're back to 96 tomorrow, 95 Thursday, maybe a few storms during the afternoon. Most of us are dry. Thankfully, though, a better front, at least a front, will provide some better rain chances Friday and Saturday, and hopefully that will nudge the highs back down into the upper 80s.
Something to look forward to for sure. Thanks for joining us. The CBS Evening News is next, and of course, we're going to be right back here for KOAM News at 6. See you then. Let's make it a great evening.